New writers face many obstacles when first starting out. There are concerns about rejections, a lack of knowledge about their subject, or even outright fear about taking that leap into writing as a career. Baltimore County Public Library has talked to several authors who have offered their own advice to beginning authors.
It's so hard to say the one piece, right? Because there's so much. I mean, the first one has to be don't give up, because there's story after story after story. If you go and you look at all the bestsellers throughout history, they were rejected over and over and over again. So many people found their agent on the 180th agent that they queried and then had a national book award. I mean, you see the story over and over and over again. And the only thing that successful authors actually have in common is that they didn't give up. So if you give up, you're done. So never give up. And the other piece of that, because I'm going to cheat and give you another one, would just be like also learn the business and the craft of writing, because you can be a reader like I was. You can love story, but there's rules and there's things you have to understand before you start breaking them. And so there's great books on craft. There's conferences like these where you can talk to people and hear from experts and understand what works and what doesn't. So I've been writing full time for 5 years, and a lot of that time I've been studying the craft, and it helps. It definitely helps. Because if you write something good enough, eventually you'll find a big enough audience.
When starting out, a writer needs to be persistent and not give up, while learning all they can about the craft and business of writing. They should also take heed to another piece of advice.
Do not pay attention to the advice to write what you know. You can write what you're curious about and write what you're impassioned about. But if you're writing about things you don't know, or people you don't know, or people who are not like you, please do the homework of bringing your whole curiosity about those folks. I talk to them about cultural competence in a presentation I do, and saying to folks, you really want to tell a story that's authentic to the folks you're writing about. So get a broader network of people, get sensitivity readers, really come to writing about another culture or another group of people with a lot of humility, and certainly do the homework.
There are many resources for new writers to extend their own networks. One of the most popular is the Creatures, Crimes, and Creativity Convention, which meets annually to celebrate authors and readers from all over the country.
I love conventions like this because you get to see people just starting out. You get to see people who are just veterans and famous, and everybody treats everybody the same. It's not like a training camp in a sport where the billion-dollar guys or women show up at the end with their entourage, and the rookies are sitting there twiddling their thumbs. Everybody's a family, and you learn from you do learn from people. You learn war stories about editors and publishers. You learn a bit about the craft, and you make contacts with people who teach you to give back if you want to try to help a school system, or you want to help a library system, or donate books to a prison. You meet people like that at things like this. You just don't meet peers. You meet people who are doing other things. So they're wonderful. I mean, a lot of people say, well, if they don't help me sell books, I'm not going to come. Well, they do help you sell books, because you get expertise and camaraderie from your peers that buoys you up, that drives your creativity. You make contacts with other people, which will lead to book sales, which will lead to other projects, what might even lead to you getting a new agent or a new publisher. So I don't agree with people that say, well, if it's not for the general public and I don't have a line of 80 people in front of me, I'm not doing it. There are people like that. That kind of glory is fleeting. And this day and age, with so many media to choose from, I don't think you can afford to have an attitude like that.
Even with such a supportive community, stepping into the world of writing can be intimidating.
It's scary, but it's something I always wanted to do. And I think most writers, occasionally you get that writer who later in life said, oh, maybe I should write a book. But most writers kind of always thought of themselves like that, always knew they wanted to do it, always had the passion inside of them, always felt like they were storytellers. So it was scary, but inevitable, and it certainly is a hard business, and everyone will tell you that. But you think, oh, but the story's good and the writing's good, but it's a hard business, and it just takes perseverance, But if you have to enjoy the process, and somebody just talked to me outside a few minutes ago, and they're like, that was the best book I read last year, and just hearing that makes up for the royalty statements that I see.